Hey fellow garden gnomes, it's Brittany. Welcome back to my channel. So it is well and past time to harvest my potatoes. So normally you harvest potatoes when the plants have died back, and my plants have definitely all died back. So I'm gonna try and get that done today. We might get a little bit of rain later, so I might have to split it over a couple days, but I'll have it all in one video. Okay, I'm gonna start with Kennebec. And I'm hoping, I have no idea what I'm gonna find here, but I'm hoping that there's gonna be a good harvest, because I did fertilize a bit more this year than I have in previous years. Oh boy. Well, that's a pretty good sign. So that's a pretty nice looking potato. And for now, I'll just have to throw them on the grass because I don't have my harvest basket. And I like to grow my potatoes in containers because I find it so much easier to just dump these bags into the wheelbarrow and sort through it than have to worry about digging the right distance away from where the plant was, and then, you know, accidentally spearing some of them, cutting some of them in half. Here's another one. I'm not sure if it's looking like maybe there aren't a ton of potatoes, but that the potatoes there are a pretty good size, which I like. Because in previous years, I've definitely gotten, you know, more smaller potatoes, which I find harder to do anything with. Now, one thing I do is when I start by only filling the containers halfway through with soil mix when I plant my potatoes, and then as they grow I fill it up more and bury the stem, because, you know, some people have said that if you bury the stem will send out more roots that will create more potatoes. And so that's what I've been doing. But now I'm seeing more and more content from other gardeners basically saying that they have not found that does anything. Like when they compare doing that versus just planting the potatoes and leaving them, they don't really notice much of a difference. So what I might do next year is I might just fill up the bag, you know, almost full, and then plant the potatoes with the idea that any roots will have plenty of room below the seed potato, like a lot more space in the soil than they do when I only fill it up halfway before planting to grow, and maybe that will get me more potatoes. Again, I do want to fertilize a bit more too. I'm not sure if I really I fertilized a little bit more often, but I'm not sure if I fertilized as often as I could, or with really the best fertilizer type. So what I'm gonna do with the extra soil that I get from these bags is I'm gonna just take the wheelbarrow over here to where I usually grow like corn and squash, and I'm just going to dump it there for now, and then later I'll spread it out a bit more. And as I pour this out, I'm just scanning for any other potatoes, just in case I missed some. So this was my harvest from that one bag. Definitely could be better. We'll have to see about the other bags, but I'm going to try and keep these. Maybe I'll put them back in the bag for now with my sign so that I can just keep track of what variety is what. You know what, I should probably move my hose. Okay, the next variety, oh, also Kennebec. If you get some fabric grow bags like these, the one thing I do recommend is storing them somewhere in the winter that you won't have rodents, because I do have little tears in them, clearly from something chewing at them. Again, some nice big ones, which I'll take over a bunch of little ones any day. I will say, compared to past years where I haven't filled these bags up with as much soil mix, I do find it tougher to sort through and find all the potatoes when there's this much in my wheelbarrow. So again, I'll keep an eye out as I'm dumping this. And here I've already seen a couple, a small one and a bigger one. So here's harvest number 2, or I should say bag number 2. And again, not the amount that I would like to see, but honestly, this is why I planted 11 bags of potatoes, because this is sort of the average harvest that I tend to get. And if my potatoes had suddenly done really, really well this year, then I would have been drowning in potatoes. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I definitely would have had to figure out what the heck to do with it all. So this is a variety called Binchi, I think that's how you pronounce it. Jed. Why did I say Jed? Bintje. One thing I'm pretty happy about with these is that they are a bit forgiving in terms of when you harvest them, because the plants have been dead for, or at least half dead for a couple weeks, maybe just fully dead for like a week or so. So I was a little nervous that some of the potatoes would be rotted, but nope, that is not the case. Okay, right away, Binchi is giving me some smaller potatoes than what I was getting with Kennebec. So I'm glad I'm getting a video of this, because then when it comes to buying my varieties for next year, I can look back at this and remind myself of what varieties did the best. And so depending on how the rest of this potato bag did, I might end up skipping out on Binchi next year and going with more Kennebec. And of course, I have a couple other varieties in the bags, so that opinion might change. I do enjoy this though, because it reminds me of if you've ever been to one of those museums as a kid where you could dig around in a sandbox and find like not real fossils, but basically imitations of fossils. That was really fun, and this reminds me of that. It also kind of makes me think of an Easter egg hunt. So here's bag number 3, and oops, I'll have to grab that one. This is a little bit more consistent with stuff I've gotten in the past, where I'll get a few more potatoes than we saw in the Kennebec, but ultimately they're smaller. Okay, now I'll do the Bridget. It's funny actually, Bridget is the most common name that people use when they don't fully remember my name, which, I mean, my name is Brittany, so I guess they're getting the first part right, but yeah, for some reason a lot of people think I'm named Bridget. Okay, first 2 potatoes, and they are a decent size. So that has me optimistic. Ooh, 3rd potato, good size. So Bridget might be a keeper. Now, one of the things also I would like to try in future is a different soil mix. Like the last few years, I've kept it pretty simple in that I'll mostly use manure, or I get either seafood compost or like cow or sheep manure, depending on what's available. And then I do mostly that. I'll usually, I'll do kind of 2 parts that, maybe not 2 parts, maybe more like 4 parts that and 1 part peat moss, just to kind of make the mix a little lighter, mostly so that when it comes time to harvest, I can lift up the bags with no problem. So this is what I got from the 4th bag. Not a lot, but nice size. So again, it seems to be kind of a trade-off sometimes. And now I'm going to do the French fingerling. But so, as I was saying, I think I got distracted. But, so I did the mix that I described. And I think next time I want to include a bit more topsoil. And maybe topsoil instead of peat moss, because I know that peat moss can be a little acidic, so I don't know if that would be something that the potatoes don't like. Ooh, French fingerling. Nice red potato here. Also, something that I've been reading about this year is the potential to have like too much compost. So I might go with a more standard topsoil, a bit more of that, and then have a lesser amount of compost, and then maybe try and fertilize a bit more often. This one I think had a bit more soil mix in it than others, because I have to be a little more careful when I'm moving it around. Ooh, definitely a bit easier to see potatoes when I'm pouring them out, but you do have to catch them before the soil covers them up. Well, this is enough that it's sort of hard to get it all in 2 hands. But there we go. That's my French fingerling and the 5th bag. Now bag number 6 is also French fingerling. For this one, I'm just going to take you over. So that is bag 6, French fingerlings. There's one pretty nice size one here. And to give you an idea of what 6 of those 25-gallon bags of the soil mix are, that's what it looks like. So for the next bag, I'll do some Irish cobbler. Huh, that's a funny shaped potato. Now, one thing I will say is I did plant my potatoes a little later this year. I can definitely plant them probably as early as late April, early May, because potatoes, you don't have to wait until the average last frost, which for us is late May. Some people even wait till June, till the full moon in June. That's what, the older folks in the area say. So here's Irish cobbler. There were a few tiny ones, but I didn't bother trying to pick those up. So I think for now, Kennebec and Bridget are definite winners. I'm starting to feel some rain, so I think I'll start to carry everything in, and I'll finish this harvest either tomorrow after work or on the weekend. Okay, it's a couple days later, and I'm gonna finish these last 4 potato bags. Here's an Irish cobbler bag. So I tried my best to catch any potatoes that are falling out when I dump the soil, but guaranteed I will have some potato plants coming up next year. Volunteer potato plants. So I'm just going to show you this because it's actually a pretty decent amount. Still nowhere near as many as I'd like to eventually be able to grow in a 25-gallon bag, but progress. Now, this one, as I dump it, there might be a sign that comes up, or a marker I should say, but for now it doesn't have a marker. Because I think I may have accidentally buried it when I was putting more soil mix in. So I'm not quite sure what these potatoes are. They might be French fingerling or Carib. I found the marker, and it is in fact Carib. I think Carib is another of the potato varieties that I want to grow again, just because of the size of the potatoes. Here we go. That is the harvest of my 9th bag, and like I said, I think I will go with Carib again because of the size of the potatoes. I would rather have a smaller amount of larger potatoes than a larger amount of smaller potatoes. This is another Carib. Ooh, gosh, some of these are heavy. Getting a good workout. Since I have a few more bags now, I ordered some more in the springtime. It might be worth it to have more bags and have them not be as full of soil mix next year, just because when I have such a large amount of soil mix, not only does it make it quite heavy, but it makes it difficult to sort through and find the potatoes in my wheelbarrow. So here's the harvest from bag 10. Fewer potatoes than the other bag of Carib, but again, those potatoes are a nicer size, so I think that makes it worth growing that variety again. Final bag, and this one is French fingerling. At least I know that these bags are good material because I'm lifting them up by the handles and they're not tearing or anything. Ah, God. Now that I think about it, probably a big reason why these bags were so much heavier than previously was because we've gotten some rain since the last time I was harvesting. And so when I was harvesting last time, all the soil was completely dry, whereas it's a little bit wetter. I definitely think next year I'm not going to bother continuing to put more soil mix in because I don't think that really helped. So I think what I'm just going to do is I'm going to fill it up maybe like 2/3 of soil mix, plant the potatoes, and then that's it. And let them grow. here's some of the harvest. There's a couple more potatoes, like 3 or 4 more potatoes that have fallen because I just can't hold them all. But they're this is from the 11th bag, and that's French fingerling. Overall, whoa, it's windy today, which is nice because I'm a bit warm after that workout. But so I would say after harvesting all of my potatoes, that although I didn't get, okay, it's much later in the day, but that's because my battery of my camera ran out, and so I had to charge it. But basically, overall, that potato harvest, I'm happy with the size that I got, even though I didn't get like the really big potatoes like I got last year. I got a few really big ones. And I didn't get those this year, but I also didn't get as many teeny tiny potatoes as I have in past years. So, you know, I got more medium-sized potatoes. So I'm like, okay, that's a win in my books. And so that's my potato harvest for 2025. As I harvested, I mentioned all the things that I wanted to try next year. And so I'll definitely look back at this video to remember what they were next year. That's it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.